here, joined today by the greatest DFS player in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Of course, it's TJ Zwarich. TJ, welcome to Monday. MLB DFS slate. There's a 2-game NBA basketball slate. There's some hockey stuff going on. It's the debut of the NHL playoffs. Of course, basketball playoffs started this weekend. Hockey playoffs. Vamos Gatos. Let's go Panthers. Hopefully they take down Boston. Good luck to us taking down the Bruins. But I'm actually wearing the Panthers today. How about that? Represent. You'd think I was Canadian, TJ. But, yeah, how are you? How's Monday treating you? And you were kind of a last-minute swap-in. By the way, the people were in chat hanging out, waiting for us. Thanks for hanging around because, yeah, we're starting 6 o'clock on the East Coast because we lost several games due to rain. The very first game as far as the start time in this slate. Of course, the main slate does not include the 6:40 games. The 7:10 game was thrown out. No Philadelphia, no Chicago. So the first game on this slate is at 7:40. Kansas City Royals at home as far as taking on the Texas Rangers. And we do take you up the lock once again. We'll yield to crunch time. They come in at 7. Everything was pushed back. Y'all get chief meteorologist Kevin Roth. And you get Andre as well as Keith. TJ, what's up? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Monday.
Doing very well. I was on all weekend, and J3 in chat was just yelling all the time about how he wants Dean. He needs more Dean. We just weren't doing it for him over the weekend, so I know he's happy you're back, and I'm glad to be joining you. Yeah, I was a late swap in for Stevie. But to be honest with you, Dean, no, we wouldn't think you were Canadian because no Canadian would be caught dead in a Florida Panthers sweater.
Oh, come on, man. That's apparently producer Steve in chat is repping. He's wearing some hockey gear as well. I believe I want to say he's a Devils fan or an Islanders fan. I'm sure one of those is insulting and one of those is correct. They're probably rivals. I'm not certain of this. My hockey knowledge is a little shaky. Steve, who are we rooting for? The Devils or the Islanders? Or either in the playoffs?
New York Islanders. And actually, the Devils, Rangers, and Islanders are all in the playoffs.
Oh, wow. There you go. Well, hopefully the Panthers will meet in the second round.
Hockey playoffs are weird. Those Bruins out.
Can you can you take a guess as to what team is on my sweater, Dean?
Oh, let me see if I can pull it up. Are you just changed or something like that? I wasn't watching the video.
No, I've had it on the whole time. You just haven't seen the logo yet.
Well, I mean, the chalk would be, I would say Toronto, but you're probably not close enough to Toronto. I'd say you're probably closer to either Vancouver or Calgary. Vancouver stinks now, and you're not going to represent a loser. So I think it's
I'm not going to wear a silly hockey shirt. It's a Raptors sweater.
Well, come on
here.
You swerved me. I didn't.
You guys implied I wasn't wearing a hockey garb, and I didn't steer you clear of that. I just said what team is on my sweater.
You might get deported though if they find out you're not repping hockey teams. That's the rules there in Canada. That's what I was told, right?
The Oilers are my favorite team, but I'm not. My heart and soul is not in it that egregiously. I got an email the other day from that best ball fantasy league that we were in, and I went, "Oh, are the playoffs starting? That means the regular season's done." And I saw I got 5th place, so just one outside of the money. So that was disappointing.
Yeah, somebody in chat talking about Edmonton. Yeah, Draisaitl and Conor McGregor is a pretty deadly combination. I am in a keeper league. No, people don't care about this, but it's an instant conversation maybe we'll have off air. But everybody was battling for 5th in our keeper league because the greatest hockey player since like Wayne Gretzky's coming out this year, maybe the next Connor McDavid. What's the guy's name? I can't remember. The big time prospect in hockey. He's like the Wembanyama of hockey coming out this season. You know what I'm talking about? Number 1 pick. Oh, you are definitely getting deported. How do you not know this? This is common knowledge in Canada. Oh, geez. Somebody in chat's going to say that he's incredible. Like the 18-year-old, 19-year-old is going to be number 1 pick. So people were taking Bedard. Thank you, chat. Bedard. Connor Bedard. They're all over it. All the non-Canadians or some Canadians who know they're probably sprinkled in. They know their hockey, TJ. But we're not talking hockey today, thankfully. We're talking baseball. Baseball an 8-game where we lost some games.
I'm pretty sure NHL DFS is actually my best ROI.
That's so funny. Yeah.
It's really
Are you going to play
easy.
some playoff stuff?
Yeah, maybe. It's really easy. Nobody stacks, and that's all you have to do.
Wait, it's not. I thought like stacking is essentially like a requirement in hockey. Just stack up those lines, stack up the power play lines. I've dabbled before. You're saying people just hunt and peck?
I feel like it's the sport that, like, I don't know. Like, I just find it a lot easier than any others. I treat it the same way as baseball. Just make a single team, pick the highest projected stack that isn't going overly high owned, and it goes really well. Our guys on the expert survey for NHL DFS always crush it. I find it pretty easy to dive into.
I might dabble some in the playoff stuff. There's probably 3 or 4 games happening tonight. I have not looked. I know the Panthers play at 7:30. And the basketball games, I'm really excited for round 2 of Sacramento Golden State. I'm not sure if you caught the first game over the weekend, but that should be a lot of fun. Did write some things up for scores and odds as well. I'll give my one pick away. Hopefully it's a winner. It's not, my bad. But so one player this weekend, right, had 5 more potential assists than everybody else that played basketball over the weekend. Who was that one player? It was Draymond Green. Draymond Green had 24 potential assists in game 1 versus Sacramento. I saw the line was at 7.5 or 8.5. I bet some alts on it as well. I may know a guy. Draymond Green assists, and just that game in general, I think it's currently at 239.5 last I saw. I think it's going over that. And I think Golden State might put up like 130, 135. But you can get that stuff on the alt if you want to dip in those waters, or just get it straight up as far as their team total or the total for the actual game. You have any thoughts on the basketball, or you want to talk some baseball? What do you want to do?
What I find wild is I haven't been playing any NBA DFS since the playoffs started. I've just kind of been enjoying watching the games. I actually took the weekend off of DFS, and now tonight I'm playing 130 baseball teams, and that's my first night back into it in a while. But the thing I want to talk about is that we're just starting. We haven't even started talking baseball yet, and we're already 2 likes away for our first Spidey bomb. We're going to drop them every 50 likes, at 50, at 100, etc. But we had 25 before we even began, and we're going to get to 50 before we even start talking baseball.
We got a Pavlov's dogs thing going on. They're finally just like, as they're jumping on, they're hitting it. We say it enough. I hate the beg. I hate the stoop. It's not my nature. But I like that they probably see you on. They want to get the they want to get Spidey going. Is Spidey ready to go? Is he he normally, like, we just started the show. It takes him a while to kind of rev up. Does he have a hitter on layaway? Has he already stuck you a couple picks?
He does. We got a couple guys on layaway. Feeling pretty good about them at not so high ownership. And to be honest, I was looking at scores and odds this morning, and these are the guys whose odds I feel like that my first 2 picks are like my favorite, not just like guys that I think are likely to hit a home run, but are also 2 of my favorites based on odds today as well. So I'm ready to give them away. On DraftKings, we're looking at about sub 15%-ish for this first one. Make sure you keep hitting the like button so we can get up to 100 likes and give away that second one nice and quick. But first Spidey bomb of the day is Rowdy Tellez with the Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh, the Rowdy one against reverse splitsy Chris Flexen. Okay, fair enough. He's not going to throw it past him for sure. He's still pretty cheap. Obviously, he's kind of worked his way up, kind of crept his way up as far as salary, but still probably too cheap when you compare him around other places. Let's see what Rowdy's odds actually are, because I do have scores and odds up. And if you go to scores and odds, you can find the best place for it. Looks like the best place for it that I'm seeing, plus 350 on both Caesars and on Fanduel. I don't know if I love those odds personally. It's fine, but I don't love it. I want a little bit more. Give me 4-1. You like that at plus 350?
There are just almost no people that are good, no good plays that are 4-1 these days. Everybody is the books have kind of juiced up the home run plays.
CJ Cron is plus 275, best place to get it. Chris Bryant's plus 305.
So not going to if I'm going outside, if plays that I really like inside of Coors, I never use Coors for a Spidey bomb, but my favorite odds today outside in Coors, like Cron at plus 300, I really like. Reynolds you can get for almost plus 400, 390, and then who's the other one? McCutcheon you can get for plus 400 as well. But yeah, I got 2 other Spidey bombs lurking outside of this game that I'm excited to get to as well. So
you're right, by the way. The odds have definitely squeezed as far as homers as the season has progressed. Willie Adames, I like Adames today for homers. Another reverse splitsy against Flexen, plus 255. Come on, man. Like, there's not a ton of edge in that. Matt Olson plus 350. He's been on fire. He's facing a lefty. Not a great lefty. Vladdy's plus 330. All right, we'll talk about this more as the show progresses. Give me the screenshot
the
as far
odds
as
have
this. Like,
changed. on
Rowdy. Did you move the needle?
No, I didn't move the needle, but like two of my Spidey bombs today had drastically different odds this morning.
Who were? I guess you don't want to give them away. That would be cheating.
One being Tellez, his was a lot better, but the other one, like drastically changed even more than Tellez.
Yeah, I'm trying to find Patrick Wisdom at 4-1. If you're comparative shopping, that's all right. That dude. It's not a great ballpark. Obviously, when he gets a hold of it, it doesn't really matter. Brian Reynolds at plus 410 seems pretty good in Coors, but he's facing Kyle Freeland, who's not giving him any homers. He's a ground ball guy, and we'll talk about it because that's kind of like that's one of the starting points of this slate, right? You got Coors Field, two offenses that are kind of meh. Rich Hill, who's not spectacular. Kyle Freeland, who's been great this year, but under the surface, under the hood, he's got that horseshoe working for sure. We'll talk about his numbers, the difference between like ERA and Sierra. And then Jacob deGrom is really easy to get, and just give me Jacob deGrom, I guess. Like, I don't know how he's cheaper than Gausman on DK. I don't know how that works. But okay, the greatest pitcher alive, throws 40+% strikeouts. I will take more Jacob deGrom than the field, and the field's going to be on it for sure. Obviously, DK got a roster too, and I'm just pulling up the most recent ownership stuff right now as far as deGrom, and it's got to be at least 50%, I'm assuming. Yeah, 65% ownership on DK. Facing Kansas City. Corbin Burns at 36%. Finally righted the ship last time out. He was really, really good after two starts that were not of Corbin Burns' nature. And then there's Christian Javier getting 16%. Gausman at 13%. Not the best matchup there against Houston, but a lot of talent as well. And that lineup does fall off after you get, beyond the two big hitters, Jordan and Tucker. You want to throw some darts at Wisniewski, you can do that. Jack Flaherty's another guy that's been super, super lucky, but let's kind of run through it. Or what's your screenshot, right? It's a Coors slate. The pivot stacks outside of Coors are not spectacular. The ballpark's not great, but like there's some really good offenses for sure that you can certainly, tell a story. Like Atlanta, I'm definitely gonna play some Atlanta. I was looking at the favorite stacks on the board, and they're top 5 for me without question. Yeah. What are you looking at here? Are we leaning in the Coors, leaning out? Are we leaning on DeGrom? What is your overview?
Leaning into DeGrom, leaning into half of Coors. So I do really like the Colorado bats today. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be a full stack, but guys like Crone and guys like Bryant are just in such great spots today against Rich Hill that I want to get to a lot of these guys. I'm playing 130 lineups on DraftKings, and I have DeGrom in 130 of them. Not trying to mess around. He is so by far the best play. If he gets unlucky or gets hurt, something like that, has a bad game, whatever, it happens. But I'm not trying to mess around with that today. I'm playing a lot of DeGrom. Colorado is my highest owned stack, but I think Pittsburgh is they are number 6 on the board for me today, and they're kind of in a basket with Toronto and the Mets and the Cardinals. So I'm not necessarily getting to a ton of them today. I do like quite a few other stacks, but DeGrom is definitely going to be the centerpiece of all of my lineups. We are only 12 likes away from the next Spidey Bomb. We got over 300 people watching. Let's hit that like button, slide your mouse over, click like. If you're watching on your phone, click hide chat, and then hit that like button. I will give away my second Spidey Bomb right now because I know we're going to have these people hitting the like button, and Dean kind of gave him away. He was monologuing so much about home run calls, and he happened to give away some Spidey Bombs here. And so the next one is the duo from the other half of the duo from Milwaukee, Willy Adames. He was at plus 385 to hit a home run earlier today. Yeah. And I was looking at scores and odds, and our projection for him was way better. And I was like, wow, this is fantastic. I still really like him for DFS, but the numbers now, I'm not as keen on getting to a home run bet of Adames where he's plus 255 when he was 100 plus 100 better than that earlier today. So more of just a DFS play for me now.
Yeah, when you're betting in the sportsbook, obviously a lot of this stuff is you got to get early. Stolen base props, a lot of props. You got to pounce. The numbers adjust, and the closer you get to the start of the game, the less edge there tends to be, unless some news drops out of nowhere, some weather something like that. Somebody gets scratched, those kind of things. A different lineup you get, and all of a sudden you have a strikeout, happy lineup, and all of a sudden you can get yourself some overs on some pitchers. But generally speaking, those numbers are going to be better the night before, and they get sharper and sharper the closer we end up getting to lock. You mentioned Pittsburgh versus Colorado. Just, it's a 12 total, I believe, right? We're still at a 12 total in that game. It's not 11.5. I think so. Feel free to confirm. It did drop to 11.5. Okay, it's down to 11.5, but still, obviously the biggest total on the board as far as a game. The Rockies' biggest team total on the board, and then Pittsburgh at 5.34. I believe that is the biggest total we have. Let's see. Dodgers just under 5 against Peterson. Braves not at 5 against Weathers. Great offense. Obviously, you want to get some pieces of that. And Milwaukee barely over 4 against Flex, and that ballpark's just not great. In Seattle, bad ballpark for homers as well, too. Doesn't mean you can't get them, obviously. Flexen's not scaring any of us. St. Louis at 4.5. Both Toronto and Houston at 4 as far as their team total. 4.5 for Texas, and that's the first game of the night. Man, I loved Kyle Schwarber. That was the guy. I thought that was a really interesting play against Lance Lynn. I guess maybe it's tomorrow night. We'll get that. I'm not really sure. I think they're playing a doubleheader. We'll see how that goes down. They scratched that one pretty early. The Freeland thing, by the way, it's kind of hinted at how lucky he's been this year, right? 0.96 ERA. 0.96 ERA. He's left everybody on base. He's stranded every single runner. But fly ball guy, 51% fly balls this year in 18 innings. The swinging strikes are not spectacular, 7%. He's just been lucky as far as BABIP, but it's not up on my screen right now. But I was looking at it yesterday. I think it was like 200 is BABIP, batting average on balls in play, that's lucky as is, but like extremely lucky when you're pitching half your games in Coors Field. Of course, Coors, not just a good homer park, but it's just a massive, massive park. So it yields a lot of hits, even some goofy hits that wouldn't necessarily be hits in other ballparks. So much outfield territory there in Coors. Are you buying the Freeland thing? Or you think maybe there's a regression monster coming, but maybe if it's coming, it's not Pittsburgh because, look at that Pittsburgh lineup, TJ. Are you afraid? Like, who are you excited about? Obviously, Reynolds is a spectacular play. Hayes is way too cheap. The sites just they either don't know or don't care about Coors Field this year. I don't know why Hayes is so cheap on both DK and Fanduel, actually. Leading off, he's 3.8 on DK, 2.9 on Fanduel. If you're playing cash games, like you almost definitely play Brian Hayes. You're probably playing Reynolds. You got Connor Joe, first blood revenge game as well. Good luck to him. But otherwise, this lineup, it tapers off pretty quickly, the Pirates. And you kind of said it. It sounded like you're more interested in the Rockies as well. And I know we'll get to the pitchers in a second, but I just want to touch on Coors. Is that the reason why you just think that this Pittsburgh lineup just kind of stinks? And it's pretty front-loaded, but it gets ugly quickly.
Yeah, that's basically it. Like, not just that they're stinks in terms of, like, there's a couple guys who got some power there, but they're also just all such heavy ground ball hitters, which I do find it makes a little bit tougher to stack up fully. Like, I'm going to have some full stacks of these guys. Freeland's also one of those guys that, like, if you listen to, like, when you listen to one of these games' streams and the Rocky announcers talk about this guy, they love him so much and just his ability to limit damage in Coors Field. Not that I buy into that rhetoric all that much. The numbers are there. We can see that his ISO is high to both sides. His hard hit rate is high to both sides. He's not a great ground ball pitcher. Gives up a lot of line drives. But still, this Pittsburgh team, I'm just not really enamored by. I'm not fading them by any means, but they're just going to kind of in a bucket of stacks that, like, I'm going to get to, but not targeting as my main priority.
You're locking Jacob deGrom and all your lineups on DK. How are you getting different? Are you getting different with your SP2, or are you getting different with lineup construction? Let's run through our second pitchers here on DraftKings. Corbin Burns, matchup there against Seattle. Kind of a tough lineup. There's some tough at-bats there. Again, pretty good ballpark to pitch in. Ballpark upgrade when you consider it, comparing it to his home field there in Milwaukee. Christian Javier versus Toronto, your Blue Jays, tough offense. Same deal on the other side. Gauss, one of the best pitchers. Javier and Gaussman, as far as skill, as far as arm talent, two of the better pitchers on the bump, but the lineups are not necessarily those you want to pick on. But, it slims out pretty quickly. We'll get to Jack Flaherty and how lucky he's been so far this year, too. And some unlucky guys, too, like Wisniewski pitching in Oakland. I believe his homer and the fly ball stuff is outrageous. We'll dig into that in a second. But who is your favorite SP2 to pair with DeGrom, or are you just sort of like spreading out there and just hope to get the right combination?
My favorite is definitely Burns, but I'm also doing some spreading out as well. So Corbin Burns is going to land in about 30% of my lineups today. And then the rest are just going to be differentiating the SP2 in case anybody has a ceiling game. So Wisniewski is going to be my third highest owned, Javier fourth, Gaussman fifth, just based on talent for Javier and Gaussman. And then I'm willing to take a small amount of shots on some cheap guys too, just because either they're not facing that strong of offenses, or they're facing offenses with some strikeout upside, or they're just super cheap. And so Kyle Muller, Chris Flexen, Jordan Lyles, Merrill Kelly, and David Peterson I'll have 5% of, just in case they have, one of those games. And in those lineups, I'll probably stack up Coors or Colorado with Atlanta, Colorado with the Dodgers, some high-powered offenses, for just in case one of those guys weasels their way into a great game.
Looks like we had some lineups dropping as well. Just coming in here is the Cubbies a few minutes ago. Horner, Swanson, Happ, Suzuki, Mancini, Wisdom, Bellinger, Gomes, and Madrigal. Dodgers dropped as we started the show. Betts, Freeman, JD Martinez, Taylor, Muncy, Vargas, Thompson, Rojas, Wins. Will Smith, I believe he went on the IL. So that makes sense. They had to get Austin Wins from Baltimore. I believe that's who that is. What else looks different about that lineup? No Outman, right? Is that who it is? I'm trying to figure out what looks different with the Dodger lineup. It's a lack of Outman, right? Facing the lefty, I guess that's no surprise there. And starting Thompson on the same night as brother Clay. It's going to drop 40 on Sacramento. Let's talk about Wisniewski, right? He's been pretty unlucky. He's facing an Oakland team that's not very good. The ballpark is cavernous. Big prospect there for Chicago. It's been uneven so far this year, obviously, dating back to last season. The Ks are pretty good. They're okay at 22%. The walk's a little bit too high at 7.8%. This Oakland team dated back to last year. They just don't really walk at all outside of Noda in a small sample. We don't know if he's going to walk this much, but he's shown a lot of power, and he's walked so far. But again, 45 plate appearances. That only tells us so much. But collectively, 7.6%. Talk to me about Wisniewski, and the other part of it is like this year, again, it's small sample stuff you can't get flipping out about, but 6 innings, he's got 4.5 homers per 9. The homer and fly ball is 50%. Not even giving a lot of fly balls, just any fly balls, but basically been over the fence. I assume he's going to be fine, and I think Oakland's a good remedy. And he's cheap enough if you want to spend up on some bats. I think he's in the conversation. I assume that's your read as far as Wisniewski as well?
100%. Not fond enough about him to go 50, 60% Wisniewski today, but he's definitely a cheap enough play and a good enough prospect of a pitcher that I'm willing to make him my third highest owned guy today.
I'm told that Dave Potts, Cheese is Good, the $1 Million Musings, I'm told they are free today. Producer Devin is not going to let me know, so just going to go ahead and drop that in chat. That is required reading. If you have RotoGrinders Premium, obviously you can just go to Lineup HQ and do your thing and look at Play IQ and do your thing. But I make it a point to read Dave Potts' article every single day, and he makes baseball fun too, as well as informative. It's worth checking out. So feel free to check that out. Read it at your own leisure. Give it a click there in the chat. If you guys are hanging out in chat, of course, hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. If you had those notifications, you would have known. I think you would have known. It might have said 5 o'clock, but we had to change the time on the fly with all the cancellations. That the show was going on at 6 today and not 5. I saw some people hanging out around 5:30 saying, "What's going on?" And somebody, of course, was blaming it on me, as always. I did not cancel the game. Yeah, blame Dean. But yeah, do appreciate y'all hanging out. And again, we're taking.
Don't let Dean tell you he didn't cancel the game. Dean did cancel the game.
I know a guy. I know a guy in Chicago. By the way, shout out to Roth. Roth will come on later. I'm not sure if you were. Did you play yesterday? You said you were on the streams yesterday, so you probably saw Roth talking about the San Francisco game in Detroit, where Detroit delayed that game, and Roth is like, I don't understand what's going on. This doesn't make any sense. I don't think it's raining, and I don't think it's going to rain for a while, but the more they delay it, the longer I think the rain's going to come in, and then the game's going to wash out. And San Fran doesn't go back to Detroit all season long, and lo and behold, they delayed the game, they delayed it, and then they eventually said, oh, wait, we should get rid of this. Yeah, let's cancel it now, like 4 hours after the game locked or whatever it was. So shout out to Roth because he got me off of Logan Webb. I believe I had some Webb at the last second. I pivoted away. So yeah,
100%.
keeping it all just Kevin Roth.
A few of us on the show were getting some Webb too. Britt and I both were a little bit interested in Webb, and then we basically, from Roth's tweets, told everybody don't play this game.
What's going on in the chat? I see also. Okay, so Jack Flaherty. You want to have the Jack Flaherty conversation? I have a problem with rostering pitchers that can't throw strikes. I mean, that's just. I think his walk rate this year. Actually, I have it in front of me. I think it's 21%, which is just outrageous. Yeah, Jack Flaherty, 21.5%. I actually cut him a little bit short there. The K's at 20%. Ground balls, good for him. Like the ERA is 1.76, but the Sierra is 6.55. Left on base percentage 88%. He's been crazy lucky. Obviously Flaherty once upon a time was good, not that 2-3 years ago, some injuries and all that. We haven't really seen a good Flaherty in a couple of years. I don't think I'm going to have much Flaherty tonight. I understand why one would get to him, but I just don't buy it. Throw strikes, and maybe I'll pay attention. I need strikes. Flaherty? TJ?
Not for me. I'm sorry. It sounded like you were like, it didn't sound like you were done because you were like, I need strikes. Flaherty? I thought you were going to be like, that's not where I'm getting those strikes.
Sorry.
But no, that's good. Yeah, I'm not going for Flaherty today. I'm just going to wait and see on him. There's enough other options, and I'm getting to 100% DeGrom, so I don't feel the need to go there, especially just because like I'm getting to more Arizona than I am to Flaherty today. Lefty heavy lineup, gives up more power to the left side, always has, and they have 3 righties in their entire lineup. So I'm more interested in Arizona today than I am Flaherty.
In the chat, they're saying that the cheese article is not free, according to Zachary Cherry. I don't know if producer Devin is out there listening or not, but I was told, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus or anything, but I was told the article was free. And
it doesn't say free today in the title.
It doesn't. I'm just telling you. You put it in the teleprompter. And Devin typed in the teleprompter that the article is free today. And I guess it's not. It's been free before. I know early in the season, but maybe some of the wires got crossed or something like that. But apparently, who knows? We're getting mixed messages there in the chat. Some are saying it's free. Some are saying Devin is wrong. Bosbra is saying Devin is wrong. I'm not sure. Devin's rarely wrong. He's usually on top of stuff. By the way, Alex in chat.
Very
Alex,
rarely wrong.
Alex, really, really sharp dude. Read his stuff on Fangraphs. Read his stuff on RG. Smarter than me when it comes to baseball for sure. So Flaherty apparently is not getting chases, is what he's saying. He's basically his first pitch strike is actually pretty good, but nobody's chasing his pitches, which could be a problem for sure. But yeah, I don't think I'm there. I'm not there tonight just yet. Is the slate is locking later? Yes, Richie Smalls. The slate is locking now at 7:40 because there's no games before 7:40. The 7:10 game was canceled. Derek wants to know what kind of ump we have for Flaherty. It's a Monday, so we don't always have umpire information at this time. You probably do actually at this point. And sometimes, every once in a while, it'll switch on us last second. Once we play one game, we know how it goes from there. It's easy to predict. They rotate, I believe, counterclockwise. But as of right now, what we have as far as the umpires, taking a look here, it's Atlanta HQ. Looks like we have a couple extremes. Extreme hitters umpire for Chris Flexen. That's not good for Chris Flexen. It's good for Milwaukee. Good for Seattle, too. Corbin Burns also has an extreme hitters umpire. Max Fried coming back from his injury. He was on the IL. I believe it was a hamstring. No rehab starts, to my knowledge. I want to check and see what his anticipated pitch count's going to be. I assume it's going to be a little bit lower, but he is getting Bill Miller. Bill Miller, who Derek Carty a few years ago anointed as the Mike Trout of umpires as far as calling strikes. So doesn't mean you can't play Atlanta, obviously, but anticipate maybe a slightly bigger strike sound there for Atlanta and San Diego. Ryan Weathers getting one as well. Not sure if that's going to save him, but I guess it won't hurt. Otherwise, that's what we have. Oh, you asked about Flaherty specifically, a neutral umpire. There you go. I tend to just focus on the extremes. Yeah, join the conversation there in chat. Whatever you want us to talk about, we're happy to do so. You guys know when the Crunch Time crew comes on, it's going to be Keith and Andre in about 28 minutes. with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. They're going to go around the horn, give their favorite players position by position. We tend to have like a broader full slate conversation, talking about pitchers, talking about stacks, talking about just general strategy, and like to kind of branch out from there. Charlie's talking about the A's stack. Is that ambitious enough that we're going to play the A's tonight? Is that something we're doing? I think it's like not completely nuts. There's some A's power. Rooker, I assume, cracked that lineup. He's shown some power so far. Of course, the ballpark stinks. Noda and Rooker, that I think you can get a little bit of A's. I don't know if I'd fully stack them, but like as like a mini stack, like a secondary stack. What do you think of Oakland?
I don't have any athletics in my pool today.
Yeah, none. Not even like a sprinkle. Is that what you're doing when you're building lineups? You're just Xing out a team?
Yeah. I go through every team and kind of adjust who would I want as a one-off, who do I want to click that only in stack button on, and who do I want to completely X out of my pool. That's the first thing I do in my research every day. Or sorry, not the first thing I do in my research, but the first thing that I do in Lineup HQ. The first thing I do in research is check the weather and then read the $1 Million Herb Musings.
Devin in chat. Apparently, the article was moved tomorrow for free. So we're just giving you a heads up. That's what we're doing. Make sure to check out tomorrow. Dave Potts, $1 Million Musings. That will be free. Is the roof open tonight in Texas? Let's check and see. Usually, there's just this guy on Twitter that is like their PR guy. That's what I would look.
The roof might be open, but there's no one playing baseball there.
It's a good question. Yes, I fell for that. I'm not sure if that was a joke or not, but yes, that's a good point. It's probably closed, I would imagine, right? Why would you keep it open?
I would assume it's closed when there's no one playing baseball there.
Yeah, I stepped right in that one. Yeah, bad job by me. Texas, of course, is not playing in Arlington. They're playing in Kansas City tonight. But otherwise, as far as weather, precipitation issues, no concerns, according to Kevin Roth. There was, obviously some stuff earlier today with Boston. The Detroit game got rained out. The Chicago game, Chicago was even rain, by the way. Chicago, I think, was mostly wind and cold. I think probably thought people wouldn't show up, or just not a great environment to play some baseball. We are getting winds out to right in St. Louis at 10 miles per hour, winds out to right center in Oakland, and winds out 10 to 15 miles per hour to center field for the Dodgers. Do we see anything interesting as far as weather edge? I don't think there's anything really popping there, but anything look interesting to you?
There is, but nothing that has a sample size to mirror it.
Yeah. What do you need?
Know if it's
40 games, 50 games?
It's for me, it's more like Roth says, like if the conditions match the sample size, then I'm good with it. If the correlation makes sense, I'm game. But like we have good weather in terms of wind in Los Angeles today, but it's also only 56 degrees. But like in a 3-game sample size, it's a plus 135 home run rate. And so while I don't think necessarily that there's going to be 12 home runs in this game, I think that game and like the Cardinals game is somewhat interesting to look at in terms of weather, just because it is wind blowing out.
Looks like it's 42 in Chicago, by the way. That's the reason why they got rid of it. And also it's, really cold. So people are not leaving the house for that. Not a great weather environment if you trust the weather edge for Kansas City. It's a pretty big sample size, 121 games, 67 degrees, slight breeze at the left field at 4 miles per hour, but a pretty big hit in homers at 29%, 12% decrease as far as runs. I don't know if you want to have those, the stacks against the Grom, YOLO stacks, I suppose you want to call them. I'm not doing that. That's not in the plans for me. And I do like Texas, though. I think Texas is pretty interesting. I'm not chased away as far as Texas, but noted. And there's no real amazing weather environment today outside of Coors. And Coors is 10 miles per hour to center field, 67 degrees. Not a huge sample, but we've seen a slight increase as far as runs, slight decrease as far as homers. And otherwise there's no incredible environment as far as stacks. Let's have the stack conversation, right? How are you figuring your stacks out? Are you just, again, you're making a bunch of lineups and do you force 5 threes? Do you force 4 fours? You kind of let it happen organically? What's your strategy when you're building all your lineups?
So I'll go in lineup HQ, and when I'm doing that stack, like I'll click those stack buttons, and like at bare minimum, half of my lineups will be 5-3s. I will allow myself 5-2s, 5-Xs, and 4-4s just in case there's a lineup that makes sense and builds that way. I won't fight that from happening by any means. But the vast majority of my lineups will be 5-3s, and then maybe I'll go in and make some hand build changes from time to time. But what I notice is, like, unless you're getting a lot of 5-3s, it's very rare you're ever going to get to a lot of like 7, 8, 9 hitters. And like, look at somebody like the other night when we wanted to play the Twins in that weather game, and Michael Taylor hit 2 home runs and absolutely
2% owned.
Well, yeah, and I had 5% of them that day.
Yeah.
And so like you don't get those plays unless you kind of do the full stacks in 5-3s. And so like the majority of my lineups are always going to be a 5-3, but I'm still willing to try those other ones as well.
I had a Minnesota stack in the 121 that night, so I didn't have Michael Taylor, unfortunately, but I did have a bunch of the other guys.
You had Julien.
9 runs in the first. What's up?
You had Julien.
Yeah, that was the night I believe the Dean's Dawn prediction had him hit the home run. So yeah,
told you that guy is nice.
Yeah, he's a legit prospect. I'll give it to you for sure. And he jumped right to the start of that lineup, because that Minnesota lineup is kind of it's there's some good players, but it gets rough pretty quickly as well. Our prioritization, our consensus rankings when it comes to stacks today. Myself, Keith will be on later. Yeah,
I want to. So I'm not leading the people astray. I want to adjust a statement I made earlier. In my most recent build, I said earlier that Pittsburgh was my 5th or 6th highest owned stack. In my most recent build, Pittsburgh's actually up to 2nd, but it's a lot more condensed. Like in the 130 lineups I have 19 Colorado stacks, 16 Pittsburgh, 16 Atlanta, 15 Milwaukee, 14 Texas, 11 Chicago, 11 Toronto, 10 Dodgers. And so it's a lot more spread out than it was prior.
Is Seattle cracking it? There's some good Seattle bats. Of course, you don't really want to pick on Corbin
5
Burns.
Seattle stacks.
Yeah. What was your official Burns take, by the way, as far as rostering him?
He is my 2nd highest owned pitcher at about 25%.
Do you make sure you get to roster 0 hitters versus your pitchers? Like, would you have a one-off
Yes.
against your pitcher, or is this slate's too big for that?
Slate's too big. Yeah, I only ever do that on like a maximum 4-gamer.
Yeah, I mean, I'll make an exception depending on if it's a speedster kind of guy and it's up against a guy that maybe can give up like 3 stolen bases to one person and still be fine, that kind of thing. But generally, I don't like to go much beyond. Or like I would have considered playing Kyle Schwarber versus Lance Lynn today, like playing both those guys. I would have been okay with that. But you don't really have to force that kind of stuff. And that's more like,
just like I feel like I'll get to a lot of Schwarber, I'll get to a lot of Lynn, but I just wouldn't feel the need to play them in the same lineup.
Yeah, fair enough. We got Will hanging out in chat. What's up, Will? Sneaky homer call, and he has no gimmick as far as I know when it comes to Spidey or Dongs. Havin Smith is his homer call tonight, and he's talking about a 3-2-2-1 stack, and somewhere Blender, his ears are ringing, and he's very upset. But I am totally okay with that. Will is smart enough; he understands how correlation works. I understand it too, but I don't like to just sort of force myself in this box of like, these are my rules and that's that. I like some flexibility. And it's also my way of like sometimes playing some like chalky players, but as a whole, as a grouping, they might not be as chalky, if that makes sense. It's my way of being a little bit different by also playing players that are somewhat popular at times. And the other part of it is that TJ, I'm making my lineups with I want to win the 121, right? I want to win the single entry contest.
That's the other thing I want to mention is, to me, and this depends how you make your lineups, right? And I remember you and Blender on a GrindersLive show were having a discussion about this, and he said, well, I like quote unquote hand build my lineups because the optimizer makes them, and then I pick one by hand that I like and I enter it into DraftKings. But where that like differs from actual hand building lineups is a 3-3-2-1 stack or whatever it is. When you are making that with your brain, looking at, I don't know if I got the numbers right there, but you know what I mean.
You won too many, but I got you.
Yeah. When you're doing it by hand, and you're able to go like, I really like this player today. I really like this player today. I really like this player today. If I just tell the optimizer to give me a bunch of mishmatches and one-offs and not stacks, and I just say, hey, give me a bunch of 3Xs, 3 3s, 4Xs, 4 2s, I'm going to get a bunch of nonsense in my lineups. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why, like, if I'm doing a single entry and there's 3 teams that I really like, and so I want to get an even distribution to all 3, I'm okay with that. It's just, I'm never going to tell the optimizer to give me that, because it's going to give me a bunch of weird lineups that I don't want.
The only counter I would say to that is, like, baseball, everybody's a GP, tournament playing baseball. Sometimes, like, getting a bunch of nonsense isn't terrible. Like, I'm not saying
yes, but that's when you want it to be a stack, because you're never going to predict the nonsense accurately unless you're stacking. And so, like, if you're hand building and going, I think all of these players are hitting home runs, yes. But if you're just kind of with the randomness of an optimizer and you're letting it give you whoever you want, unless you're telling it to give you a stack, it's going to give you a bunch of weird guys, and the chance you predict the nonsense correctly is going to be really low.
Somebody out there has, like, their 5-man stack, and then they have their nonsense, quote unquote, is the 3 players that are Spidey bombs. You're moving the needle that way. That's happening. Like, I'm going to stack the Braves and the 3 guys that TJ says are his Spidey bombs, and that's what we're doing. Is that nonsense or is that not nonsense?
It's not nonsense if I have a stack with it, but like, if you every day just, like, look at scores and odds and build your lineups with whichever players are going to have the best, like, the highest home run odds, maybe every now and then you'll cash, but chances are you're only going to cash if you have multiple players from one team on there. Like, it doesn't really work unless you have that correlation.
Some comments here in chat. Again, feel free to join the conversation. We're here about 15 minutes or so until we yield to the Crunch Time crew. I see Andre's in the bullpen. He's coming in shortly with Keith, as well as Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. He's hanging out talking stacks as well. Naked HD, my old friend Naked HD in chat. Do we fade Riley in Atlanta stacks? Why do we have to fade that Riley? What am I missing there? Why will we fade? We're good with playing Riley. He should be in your mix. Why will we fade Riley? He's expensive, but besides that.
Austin Riley is a guy I really like today.
Yeah. K-Town's Finest, thank you, RotoGrinders, for helping me get second in Saturday's $4 20 max, less than a point from 5K. Awesome. Congratulations. You were on the show, TJ. I don't know if Spidey had a good day or not, but congratulations to, I think you said you were working on Saturday, right?
Yeah. Spidey bomb's going well, but also, like, just always let's make sure we're hitting this like button to get another Spidey bomb before the Crunch Time crew comes out, because it started off a little cold. Spidey had to get his bearings, but 10 of the last 19 Spidey bombs have hit now. We've been keeping track since last Saturday, the day we went 4 for 4. 10 of the last 19 have hit, so they're going pretty well.
So 10 of the last 19 means like 10 of the last 23 also, right?
No.
What do you mean? Like, if we stretch it back 4 more, you would have said like 11 of the last 24 if it actually won it.
No, I just didn't start counting that day. I don't know if I went 0 for the day before.
I
started counting last Saturday.
Gotcha.
They weren't all misses before then. I didn't count.
What am I missing with Riley? Robin also says fade Riley. Why would we not play? Does he have like bad BBP or something? Like, what are we missing here? Why would we not play Austin Riley in a stack? I'm confused by that, but I don't explain the premise if you don't mind. Why would we not want to play? I mean, obviously it's not like a lock button. Nothing's a lock button in baseball. There's more than 5 good Braves. You can play Acuna, Olsen, Albies, Murphy, and Grissom. The weird thing about the Brave stack that I can't really figure out, and you help me out. And this is the thing that, like, what you do is you get these players, and I have a hard time clicking on them. Like Kevin Pillar in the year 2023, I'm going to play Kevin Pillar? Really? Marcell Ozuna is horrendous now. Horrendous. He's really, really far from removed from the guy he was for the Marlins. If you look at his plate IQ stuff, he's really bad, but he's cheap, right? All the outfielders for the Braves stink, and they kind of like push you in a certain direction as far as their stack.
Want to try that one more time?
Oh, Acuna. I'm sorry. Yes.
There you go.
Yes. You're correct. The rest of them stink. By the way, dating back to last season, Marcell Ozuna versus lefties, as far as his ISO, his isolated power, we're talking about 34. He's got a 34 ISO. That is horrendous. That's so terrible. Kevin Pillar, small sample size, but it's 67. They're all in the red as far as power in the outfield. Yeah, Rosario is not starting because he's a lefty, and I believe Hilliard is also a lefty too. I'm fairly certain. That's why he's not starting tonight. But these outfielders are bad. Maybe that's they're talking about like playing Hayes. Like you got to play Hayes for Pittsburgh. Oh no, like that's more reason to play Riley. If like you're saying like you got to play Hayes for cash games, sure. You play Hayes in your cash game, you're 50-50, whatever. You're head-to-heads, triple ups, that kind of thing.
You know, Dean, we have a QQ that Steve brought up from chat here, and it's perfect timing because we're at 147 likes. Need 3 more people to hit the like button. Wisdom, home run thoughts today. Well, my home run thoughts today on Patrick Wisdom are that he's going to hit one, and Spidey agrees because Patrick Wisdom is Spidey bomb number 3. This is a guy that still has some nice odds over to hit a home run today. What's weird is that like he probably won't because it's not a weekend. Cards and I have had shows together the last 3 weekends in a row, and every time we've had a show, Patrick Wisdom has hit a home run. But today's a Monday, and so we don't have that narrative with us. But great odds, and I really like the Cubs stack today. And so Patty Wisdom going to be hitting a home run. And, you know, we're only 42 likes away from 200. We got almost 500 people watching now. Awesome. Let's get one more of these in here before the Crunch Time group comes in.
This is an important question for Spidey. Patrick Wisdom, what's his nickname? Is it Patty the Tooth or Patty the Brain?
Whichever one you said it isn't. So I'm going to go with Patty the Brain.
It is Patty the Brain.
Damn it, Patty the Tooth.
Yeah. Nope. No. You can't take it back. There's no trade backs. Boss Bro wants to know the best Texas bats. If you're stacking up Texas tonight, which I think you can, sure, why not? How would you stack up Texas facing Jordan Lyles, Nate Lowe, Marcus Semien, Jankowski at the 2-hole? Is he a threat of getting the hook? I feel like he might be. Not a lot of power there. Some speed for Jankowski in the 2-hole. Young, the rookie. I guess he played last year too. I don't really like the back end. Smith is another guy. It's vulnerable to somebody's getting the hook. I want to see how many lefties are in that bullpen for Kansas City, because Jankowski, Smith, Miller are all guys that are pinch hit risks in my book. I'm curious what Cardi has them at. How would you stack up Texas?
They are a nice cheap stack that I don't mind going with today. You get like Jankowski there batting early. The guys that I'd want to ensure I'm including, Jonah Heim, Jankowski, and Lowe would kind of be the 3 that I'd want to build around with it. You could still get Young in there. You could still get Semien in there. But those would be kind of the first 3 that I'd be looking to build with, I think.
All right. I'm pulling up the bat for Derek Carty. By all means, get the bat. Support Derek Carty. It's very, very useful for many things. But one thing it's useful for, it has pinch hit risk percentages. And, you know what? I'm on pitchers. And that's why I can't find it. All right. We'll figure it out in just a second as far as potential pinch hit risks. I feel like there's some potential pinch hits in that Texas lineup. All right. Kevin Pillar, by the way, 36%. Austin Wins, 32%. Yeah, Trace Thompson, 32%. If a righty comes in, Thompson's at risk of coming out for somebody like Outman. Where are the Texas guys? Josh Smith, 20%. Is Jankowski? Miller, 13%. I don't see Jankowski. 5% for Jankowski. That seems all right. So, you know, batting in the 2-hole there, Jankowski. Good speed. Not a ton as far as the actual wheels these days. 10 minutes until the Crunch Time crew comes in. We have K-Town's Finest asking us, favorite tournament low-owned pitcher. I'm assuming this is a large field. You talked about hitting the lock button on Jacob deGrom. Who's your favorite SP2 for tournaments?
So Burns is going to be the only guy that I think is going to be real like chalk today as an SP2, and so I think you can go basically anywhere else and not have to worry too much about ownership. My favorite is probably Wisniewski, however you say his name, followed by Javier Gausman.
By the way, I see Alex talking about Hayes hitting a home run. Like, dude, can I hit the ball off the ground? And that's the other thing you look at as far as the plate IQ. And, these Pittsburgh guys in Coors, the way you hit home runs, you hit the ball in the air, right? And it's like all red when it comes to ground balls. Hayes, 56% ground balls. Reynolds, even 53%. McCutchen, Hits the most fly balls, not the least amount of ground balls, I should say. Second least. Austin Hedges, 33%. You don't really want Austin Hedges. I guess you can play him. Sure, why not? Cheap catcher in Coors, but it's not a great lineup. It's the long and short of it. But of course, Coors Field, you can do that. But if they're going to be heavily owned, I don't think I want to be over the field on Pittsburgh. Is my general thought. I'm checking out the slate IQ, right? When it comes to leverage stuff, I feel like they're probably not the best leverage stack. Actually, they kind of. So Houston, the Cubs, Texas, and Pittsburgh are the 4 positive leverage stacks today, according to Slate IQ. How do you feel about that? Houston, number 1, picking on your Blue Jays, which, by the way, somebody in chat was like, the Blue Jays just bet them straight up tonight. Forget DFS. Are you going to be a homer tonight? You like Gausman to shut down the Astros? You would take as far as who's winning this game, or you haven't even thought about that?
Like, Javier's form right now isn't quite as good as Gausman's, and so if this is last year's pitcher versus last year's Javier versus the Jays, then I'd say it's basically a pick 'em. But at this point, just kind of since he's been struggling a little bit to start this year here, I would lean Blue Jays, but I don't have a strong enough lean that I'd want to fire a ton of money on them. But if I had a lean, it's definitely the Blue Jays. I have more Blue Jays today in DFS than I do Houston.
Josh Smith in chat's asking Lowe or Crone DK cash. If you have the money, if the salary is not an issue, you're playing CJ Crone in cash. It's not. Yeah, that's for sure. Naked HD wants to know we're talking about the Brew Crew. Yeah, we sort of talked about it in passing a couple of times. The Spidey likes the Brewers, did some homers off of Chris Flexen. Chris Flexen does not miss many bats. We did talk about how that ballpark isn't great necessarily for hitting. Obviously a downgrade for Milwaukee, but they're also locked in for 9. That's something. Flexen dating back to last season, 15.6% as far as strikeouts. That's not good. Walks too many guys as well, 9%, and gives it 25 balls at 43%. So Milwaukee, I kind of don't want to play Yelich in my Milwaukee stacks. Of course you can, but Flexen being reverse splitsy, Yelich kind of losing his power since his back injuries, 144 ISO since 2023 versus righties. That's not spectacular. Adames, Tellez, Contreras, like all that. Rousseau is another pinch hit guy. Is that lineup official? We're assuming that's our projected lineup, right? I don't think an official lineup is dropped, but that's probably what it's going to look like.
I don't think Rousseau is somebody you're going to have to worry about getting pinch hit for because he's right-handed facing a righty.
Yeah, but they started him. I mean, you think Milwaukee is savvy enough to know that Flexen's like a super reverse splits guy?
No.
Well, we don't know if he's starting anyway. We're just guessing.
Yeah. If he's in the starting lineup, I can't imagine he gets pulled because, if a lefty comes in, he's definitely staying in. But you never know. But maybe they go to Winker late. But I kind of assume if he's starting, it's for a reason.
I wanted to see how many lefties are in that Royals bullpen. They have 3. Aroldis Chapman worked yesterday. He hasn't worked since he worked yesterday, but not worked the previous 3 or 4 days. Amir Garrett has not worked since Friday. Josh Taylor. Oh, they have 4. Yarbrough is kind of their long guy, I think. He pitched 45 pitches on Saturday. So, yeah, we're probably going to see some lefties out of KC, and there are some pinch hit threats on that Texas lineup. Not trying to chase anybody away. Just, understand, if the situation calls for it, bases loaded, and Jankowski or Josh Smith are up, and a lefty comes in, they're probably getting the hook. It's a tight game, that kind of thing. That's just how that goes down. Can you predict it? Not really. But understand that it's a potential scenario. Do you have a favorite value play? Just general value plays, just kind of make stuff work. It doesn't have to be any position specifically. They'll talk about them in a second. We have the Crunch Time crew coming in about 5 minutes or so. But any value plays like Brian Hayes is a good value play. But besides that, dig a little deeper for value.
Yeah, I do have some value plays that I don't mind today. And so one of my favorite plays that I'm going to be getting to a lot today, just because the shortstop position is somewhere I find myself getting a decent amount of one-offs today, just because it's not that great of a position. The best guys are in a tough spot. We got some Coors chalk with guys batting 7 and 8 and 9, things like that. And so Chris Taylor is going to be one of my favorite value plays today on DraftKings batting cleanup for the Dodgers. And then some other guys that I'm getting to a decent amount: Corbin Carroll, Vaughn Grissom, I'll get a decent amount of Jankowski, but actually I think I'm going to place a rule there right now that I'm only going to play him in stacks because of that pinch hit risk. I like myself some Trey Mancini today. He's always priced too cheap on DraftKings. And those are kind of the guys that I'm going to the most from a cheap value standpoint.
I saw somebody asking about Arizona stacks. I think you can do that against Flaherty, especially if he's walking people like crazy. And Arizona also is like the top 5 right now as far as swiping bags. So they have players that are willing to steal some bags. Moreno is an interesting little cheapie, like being like a flat out punt catcher. I don't mind him at 2-2. The rookie for the Mets got the call up, Brett Beatty. I don't necessarily want to pick on Dustin May, but he's 2K. 2K can't get upset about that. He is presumably going to hit 8th tonight. We've not seen an official lineup just yet. How do you feel about Dustin May against the Mets? I saw somebody asking about May in chat, and I don't think I'm going to make enough lineups to get to him. I don't make as many as you do. Is May in your pool?
X. Steve will like this. It's an X button from me. Jason Garnett asking in chat, how do we feel about a Mets stack? I don't love the Mets stack today, but I do like them more than May. I'm getting to a little bit of Mets. I'd rather go with the midi stack of like Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor than a full stack. But I'll probably end up with about 5% Met stacks today. 30 likes away from 200. Let's get, and we got over 500 people watching now. Let's get these likes up and get 200 so I can give away one more Spidey bomb.
Hey, just wanted to say, it's kind of interesting that we didn't mention the Cardinals at all in any capacity. Just Merrill Kelly is a perfectly fine professional pitcher, but he can get beat. The ballpark is perfectly fine. It's not, special as far as hitting, but it can get beat. Just the Cardinals, they're just kind of lost on this slate. And I'm sure you're like me, where I love the Cardinals versus lefties. I'll load up on them versus any lefty, basically. But against righties, they're still fine, but they're kind of lost for me. What are we doing with the Cardinals?
That same with me. I usually just target them against lefties, but I'm getting about 5% Cardinals stacks today in my lineups. The one thing that worries me is that, like, if you read the musings, although they're not free today, I'll give you a little tease. Cheese did like the Cardinals as a tournament stack, and anytime he likes somebody, I typically like bumping them up. But my next set of builds just went, and I have 6.25% Cardinal stack, so I got 8 card stacks in there out of my 130 lineups.
I do hear the Crunch Time crew coming in. We have Keith, we have Andre, we have Kevin Roth. Kevin Roth, I have 2 things to thank you for. Yesterday, you hooked me up yesterday with everybody else too, not just for me. You let people know that it looked really squirrely as far as the weather, or whatever we want to call it, the rain delay, the weather delay in Detroit, the San Francisco game that ended up getting delayed. Thanks for that. And also, I don't know if you have to be a RotoGrinders premium, but I did slide into Ross DMs today, and I asked him for a personalized weather report, and he gave me one because I actually had to put pants on or shorts, I guess, and leave the house. And yeah, it was storming outside, and he told me, just wait a few minutes, it's going to be all right. And you know what, Roth, you nailed it.
I was glad. I didn't get a chance to check because I'd have felt bad if a tornado swept you up after I told you it was all good. So I'm glad that worked out for you, man.
Yeah, I'm getting alerts on my phone, and I'm in Florida, and you've lived in Florida, and it's saying tornado warning, find a basement, and it's like, well, there's no basements in Florida.
They don't exist. Yeah, we don't have those. So
is this just a blanket warning? I'm not. When I read that, I'm like, now you lost all credibility. I'm not even sure if there's a tornado warning.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like in Florida, they should probably take away the get in your basement thing. Yeah, that's silly.
It's a funky time for you, Roth. I'm glad you can make it. I'm glad Keith and Andre can make it as well. Of course, we lost the game. We lost the 7-10 game. That's the reason why we're still on and taking y'all all the way up to lock 740 on the East Coast.
We lost 2 games.
We lost 2 games. We lost a 640 game and a 7-10 game, I believe. Yeah. The 640 game was not on the main slate. Yeah. And one wasn't even for weather, right? At least one of them wasn't. It was just too cold and too windy.
Yes, it was weather, but it wasn't rain. Yeah. In fact, really, both of them were just like cold, windy, crappy. And they're like, yeah, no, not baseball weather.
Confirm that Dean does not know the difference between weather and precipitation.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I understand they're all under the same umbrella, so to speak. But you like anybody?
Do not use an umbrella on a windy day, Dean. That's a terrible idea.
That was good, Dean. I'm sorry. That was good.
I got an umbrella guy like P. Diddy. Yeah, so we does he still have that guy that it's too hot out?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
What does that pay? Like what's that gig go for? 100K, give or take? All right. Hey, we're getting off track. We gotta talk some baseball. We gotta bring Andre and Keith in as well. You got anything else? Anything else to throw out to the people at TJ before you step aside and make way for crunch time?
No, we better get out of here before you compare yourself to P. Diddy anymore.
No, I didn't. That's not what I was doing.
It's a good way to end it.
All right. On a high note, we're out of here. It's the FanDuel sponsor of Crunch Time. Myself and TJ, we appreciate you watching the first portion. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Now buckle up because it's Crunch Time starring Kevin Roth and Keith and Andre. Roth, take it away.
Let's do it. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. Excellent stuff, by the way, Dino and TJ. This is Crunch Time. It is the show where we bring in two of the sharpest minds in the biz to help navigate the slate. We'll take you up to lock and then through lock. And also, as Dean mentioned, it is sponsored by FanDuel. So make sure you're checking out everything that's going on FanDuel, including sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers bet $5, get 150 bones in bonus bets. Bones is slang for dollars in case I get in trouble for not reading that word for word. So make sure you're doing that. Great stuff going on with our sponsor site, FanDuel. Thrilled to have a couple sharp DFS pros with me. We got the Iceman himself, Keith Eyster. What up, man?
Not too much. Excited about this slate. Seems like a good one. We've got Coors Field. We've got Jacob deGrom. So unfortunately, it's a little too easy to fit them together. So we have to find some ways to get different. Okay. But yeah, fun slate. Little bit of a late start today, but happy to get in and break it down with you guys.
Yeah, weird that we're starting late, but as Dean mentioned, some weather issues, some postponements. We got Dre as well. Dre, do you feel similarly about this slate? You like it?
I love it. I think I've been really close to, taking it all down. So I think tonight might be the night. So let's just see how it is.
Let's go. I'm loving that confidence. All right, great. Well, you're going to have to share a piece of the pie, a little bit of the puzzle here with what you're planning on doing. You feel good about that?
Yeah, I do. Definitely do.
Okay, very good. Hey, quick weather rant. Like, it's been a rough 24 hours for your boy. The Detroit thing where they literally postponed a game and they shouldn't have, like, straight up, like they shouldn't have postponed it. It was super tilting. And then the delay today, like, if anybody bet the Shohei overs, my bad. Like, they literally got clipped by one shower, delayed the game, and then they just delayed it for like an hour and 15 minutes. And I didn't see that coming. So that sucked. Dre, you didn't happen to Ice, you didn't bet like Shohei overs, did you?
Mr. Derek Carty actually wrote up Shohei unders on Scores and Odds. So if we were subscribed to the Scores and Odds, you should have been on the under there.
Well, if it was an under because of a freak shower that's going to hit in the third inning, then that's a hell of a bet. But anyways, just not fun things. And it kind of reminded me that, like, yeah, sometimes the weather just beats you. That's what happened this morning. Last night was not the weather beating me. Last night was ridiculous. But anyways, let's dive into this slate here because we're looking forward. And I am looking forward to the fact that there are no remaining weather games. So we can throw that out the window and just talk about the slate. Ice, I think I'm going to start with you, man. You want to walk us through it?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with some pitching here. I mentioned Jacob deGrom, the very clear best play on the slate. We have plenty of aces on this slate, but he is in the best situation by far, and he's just better than everybody else. Like his K rate is so much better than even the other elite guys. He's up over 40% this season. Guys like Corbin Burns and Kevin Gausman, they're more like 30% strikeout pitchers. So Jacob deGrom is just on another level. He really needs his own tier. He is not priced like he's in his own tier. In fact, Gausman is actually more expensive than him on FanDuel. It's until they price deGrom appropriately. Like, he should be 11.5, 12K, especially when he has a great matchup like he has today in Kansas City. He's just too cheap. So, like, you have to play a ton of deGrom on DraftKings where you can play two of them. He's a lock button for me. I'm playing him in every single lineup that I'm making. On FanDuel, obviously, you want a little bit of differentiation because you only get one shot at it. Mm-hmm. I think Corbin Burns is very clearly the next option. Not a great matchup against Seattle, a patient team. They don't strike out a ton. And Burns has not quite been himself to start off the season. He did look better in his last time out. We know that there's plenty of a track record here. I'm not concerned about Corbin Burns at all. So he is my favorite tournament pivot on FanDuel. On DraftKings, it's not difficult to play DeGrom and Burns and stat Coors, which is like, don't do that. It's going to be massive chalk today. But Burns is 8,800 on DraftKings, just way too cheap. He's a 10K pitcher. I don't care about matchup with guys like Burns and DeGrom. Even the next two that I'm going to get to, they are in much tougher matchups. I mentioned Gaussman. He's more expensive than DeGrom. It's going to really reduce his ownership.
Why?
And he's got a matchup with Houston. I don't know why he's more than DeGrom. It makes no sense whatsoever. Gaussman's a really good starting pitcher. Don't get me wrong, but he's not Jacob DeGrom, and he's facing Houston, who doesn't strike out very much. So, I mean, it's simply a game theory move to play Gaussman over DeGrom. I think in a vacuum, it's very easily DeGrom as the better pitcher, and he's cheaper. So it's not really a decision. I'm going overweight on DeGrom, but I will have a few Gaussman just because he's a guy who can go out there and strike out 10 on a given night, even in a tough matchup. And then the other ace that we have on the slate is Christian Javier. Really tough matchup for him against Toronto. He's a fly ball pitcher. Toronto has a ton of power hitters, so big risk for home runs allowed. But Javier does have that 30% strikeout rate that we're looking for as well. If he can limit the damage against him, he does have big strikeout stuff. So I don't hate tournament shots on Christian Javier. The only other guy in my pool on FanDuel is Hayden Wesneski, and that's just because he's cheap and it's a way to kind of completely flip the build. He's a good prospect. He has not had a good start to the season. It's been brutal with his control for him. He's been all over the place, and he's been getting hit really hard. But the options down here are just not great. Other names I'll throw out, like Jack Flaherty is probably has the best career of any of these guys, but he has not looked right either. His command has been all over the place. If you want to take shots that Jack Flaherty is right, I'm okay with that. I am doing that on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, I just don't see the need to. Like 90% of my exposure is going to be those top four I mentioned: DeGrom, Gaussman, Burns, and Javier. Just a slight sprinkle on Wesneski. And if you go down to Wesneski, you can pay up for literally all the bets. If you prefer David Peterson, I wouldn't try to argue with you. Just Wesneski is against Oakland in Oakland, one of the best pitchers parks in baseball. Oakland is not a good offense. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and hope that Wesneski can find his control today. He does have really good stuff. He can be a big strikeout guy. So just the fact he's coming in really low owned and he has some upside in this spot, I do like him. And then on DraftKings, where we can play two, I have a few more slots. So I am going to play a little bit of Peterson and a little bit of Flaherty as well.
Okay, same dudes, and essentially it's still anchored by DeGrom, and then you're just and on DK, do you essentially have 100% DeGrom? Like, are there any lineups you're fading him?
No, 100% DeGrom on DK.
God, I love it. That's awesome. Okay,
he's just too cheap. He's 2K underpriced.
Yeah. Okay, let's kick it over to Dre, and I want to start with the DeGrom question. Even for tournaments, is it crazy to just say, like, I want 100% DeGrom, even on FanDuel? Like, can you just go overweight on that 50% projected ownership and win? You're muted, I think.
Sorry about
You're
that.
Good.
And a site like FanDuel, you definitely can go 100%. I don't mind it at all. Like, just lock him in over there. Like, don't overthink it. He's the best pitcher by a mile in the MLB. He gave him a few runs, but what pitcher doesn't give up a few runs? And you wouldn't be human if you didn't.
Yeah.
So,
as long as you're getting the Ks. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but especially on the side like FanDuel with strikeouts, I think matter more heavily over there. So I think DeGrom is definitely a lock over there. DK, he pretty much is almost a lock for me. I have him in I'm only running 20 lineups tonight because I feel like the way I'm holding, trying to get better and holding into my pool, I can focus that on who I really like as far as pitching wise and stack wise, to the point where I don't want to play. I have to play an absorbent amount. But Jacob DeGrom, I think, is going to be in I'm running somewhere in 20, so probably maybe 19 of my lineups.
Okay.
Maybe just do one without him just to see what happens, just in case. But majority, he's a lock on that side as well.
Okay. Let's talk then, I guess, on DK is the only conversation for you then, really. Who are you mixing him in with?
I'm getting a lot of Hayden Wesneski here currently. It's in a ballpark, obviously. That says it's good, obviously, with weather chin. It's good weather, hitting weather there, but it's a pitcher's ballpark, so it's going to be hard for them to pretty much, I think, get anything out there. But you could still see a lot of runs just scored in general. But I think when Wisniewski is my next highest owned pitcher, followed by Corbin Burns, what I'm looking at here in a matchup that he has here against Seattle. So I know he's gotten off to a little bit of a rough start, but bounced back against Arizona. But it was also the Mets. Mets are not a bad team. So, and Seattle's not a bad team, but I think that they're still kind of they still strike out a good amount there. So I don't mind taking shots on Corbin Burns here in this spot as my next pitcher. And then I'm getting a little bit of Christian Javier going against Toronto. Might be a little bit of a mistake, but I'm going to look into it a little bit more. These guys just after Vlad Guerrero, they just strike out at like 23% or more. So it's like, to me, why not just roll with him and see what we can do? He's striking people out right now at 32% on the year, 26 on lefties, and 38% on righties. So I'm looking forward to hopefully him getting the ball over there and striking him out. Ground ball rates and fly ball rates are a big risk with him, but I think it's worth it here on this slate.
Okay, very good. I do have to note, I was just kind of looking at the weather in Oakland. There is a low chance of a later inning delay. So I don't think that will matter because I don't think this dude's going 9 innings. And I think the delay would come in like the 12th inning realistically. But I cannot fully rule out a 7th inning or later quick delay, as there's just like a weak little line of showers. Nobody cares, right? Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Wisniewski we're looking for strikeouts. If we get 5 clean innings with 6 strikeouts, that's a smash for Wisniewski.
That's what I figured. All right. Yeah. This isn't like a DeGrom where like you want him to go the complete 9. Like, I mean, you do want it, but it ain't going to happen. So, okay. Very good. That brings us to stacks. So Dre, as you were second with pitchers, you get to lead us off and talk about some of your stacks. I feel like you got a good feeling about what you want to do here.
Yeah, I definitely do for sure. I'm trying to stay away from that Coors game as much as I possibly can. And if I do get some of it, I'm going to be more on the Colorado side, and I'm going to take
whoa, hold up. You're staying away from the game you're staying away from the best game.
Yeah. I'm gonna,
yeah. Okay.
I said that kind of confidently, I know, but
yeah.
I like Colorado. Like, I'm gonna have like some stacks with them, but they're not gonna be my highest owned stack. So like I said, I'm running 15, so probably maybe have like 4, maybe at most 5 stacks of Colorado. But I do really like Milwaukee here a lot. I like Texas, and I like Atlanta and St. Louis as well, and the Cubs. Those are the other stacks I really trying to hold on to get a lot of guys from. I don't mind using the Pittsburgh side, but if a Pittsburgh, I would use the more secondary plays. So like if you want to do like a 2-man or a 3-man for Pittsburgh, I don't mind that at all. But focus more so just on having them as a secondary stack. Wouldn't make my primary, but yeah, I think I like Arizona to a decent amount too, but Milwaukee by far is my favorite stack. I'm trying to see if I can get maybe some more Chicago, because I think Chicago could be really sneaky here too as well.
Okay, very good. Dre, Ice, talk me through your favorite stacks, and actually rewind a little bit and tell me what everyone's doing, because I just assumed they're stacking up Colorado.
Your assumption was correct. Okay. Everyone's stacking up Coors, and I'm with Dre on this one. I'm going to be underweight on Coors. It is too obvious to go DeGrom or Burns or both on 2 pitcher sites, and then stack up Colorado and Pittsburgh. It fits together too eeasily. It is like you can't play this slate like this.
I don't mean to be the guy that points this out, but is it are we all galaxy braining and being like, no, everybody's going to play DeGrom in Colorado, so I have to, but then everyone does that, and actually DeGrom in Colorado comes in lower owned than it should?
There's a chance of that, and we're not talking like it's going to be 50% owned. Like, Colorado's going to be 20%ish owned, but that's too much in baseball, in my opinion. And you don't have to fade them entirely. Like, I'm going to have probably 10 to 15% of Colorado. I'm also with Dre that I prefer the Colorado side to the Pittsburgh side, and that's just the nature of the pitchers that are throwing for each team. Rich Hill is a fly ball pitcher, way past his prime. Strikeout rates under 20%. Colorado is better against lefties. Like, it sets up really well for Colorado. It's a scary fade. But there are some other really great offenses that we have on this slate as well.
Let's hear it.
So we need somebody that can match or beat Colorado, and I don't think it's even like out of the question for it to happen. The Pittsburgh side, I'm not very concerned about at all. Pittsburgh's not a talented offense. Kyle Freeland is more of like a ground ball contact manager. He's not a big strikeout guy either. But Pittsburgh doesn't have a ton of power in their lineup, and Freeland just he gets a lot of soft contact a lot of times. So and ground balls too, which are not great when you're stacking a team against a ground ball pitcher. Mm-hmm. The teams I really like, Atlanta is my favorite. Against Ryan Weathers. Weathers is a really young lefty. Atlanta has just massive power all throughout the lineup. Just a great offense against a pitcher who has managed like 13% strikeouts over the last year and a half, just going back to the beginning of last season.
I was going to ask if I could play Weathers on Fanduel, but I guess that's a hard no.
Well, definitely not on FanDuel.
Okay. It's just the name. I can't say no to Weather, but all right.
Yeah, you tried to play him last time.
It went horribly. Yeah.
He just doesn't have any upside, especially when he's facing a powerhouse like Atlanta. It doesn't make sense.
All right.
Texas is another team that I love. Lyles has long been susceptible to power from both sides of the plate. Texas, not the best lineup, but facing a pitcher like Lyles is exactly what we're looking for. Gives up a ton of power. Let's see here. Who am I missing? Milwaukee against Chris Flexen. Kind of a neutral / reverse splits type of guy. Milwaukee's power hitters I'm very interested in. Big fly ball guy in Flexen. Certainly you can take some shots on the Dodgers against David Peterson. He's kind of an okay pitcher, but Dodgers have plenty of talent in that lineup. And Dre mentioned Arizona, which I really like. I mentioned I'm playing some Flaherty. He did look better in his last time out, but his first two starts, he was atrocious. Just not getting the strikeouts. And he walked, I think it was 6 and 8 guys in his two starts, his first two. He was better last time in Coors. So nobody's playing him today. I'm taking a shot that he might just have figured it out in his last one, but I'm also stacking Arizona against them. For one, they are really cheap. So if you're looking for a pivot to like the cheap Pittsburgh guys, I think Arizona is a decent spot to look. There's plenty of value in that lineup. And then I'm interested in both sides of Oakland, Chicago as well. Not a park that we generally look at for DFS, like offense in general. But these pitchers, like both of them are rookies, very young guys. Either of them are susceptible to blow-ups. So while I'm playing a ton of Wisniewski, I don't hate and these are more like 3-man stacks than they are full stacks. But power bats for Oakland and the Cubs, I'm interested in both of those as well.
Okay, very good. I feel like you've got a good thought process overall, but now we got to dive in player by player, position by position. So Ice, if you don't mind starting us off with a little catcher talk, we'll go around the horn.
Okay, so like for cash games, I think Elias Diaz is pretty clearly the option. Just 3,700 on DK. You don't have to play one on FanDuel. I love William Contreras if you are looking for a pivot in tournaments for the Brewers. Wilson Contreras is weirdly cheap on FanDuel, and he's a guy with like 25 home run power. $2,400 for Wilson Contreras. I'm fine if you want to punt there. Sean Murphy in a great spot. Love Brave stacks today. He has crushed left-handed pitching throughout his career as well. And then Jonah Heim in your Ranger stacks I like as well.
Very good. Dre, anything you want to add there?
He pretty much named every single guy. Yan Gomes, if you're running in Chicago stack, I don't mind here as well. But other than that, and Gabriel Moreno in the Arizona stack. Other than that, he mentioned everyone that I would play. And like I said, I only use this position for stacks, especially on DraftKings.
Very good. Okay, then take us to first base.
First base, obviously the Colorado guys, you got like CJ Cron's going to be very popular. Vlad Guerrero is going to be low owned. I think he's interesting. And as a one-off going against Javier, Christian Javier here. Nathaniel Lau, whichever one.
He's low.
Okay.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who struggles. Thank you.
Glad I was right there though. So, but he is a great option here going against Lyles here. So I like him a good amount. Obviously, Matt Olson, Rowdy Tellez going against Flexen. I love that matchup here. I like Trey Mancini as well going against Muller. here in this position, in this first base position as well.
Okay, great. I suppose I'll kick it over. I did get a question real quick. Let me start here. Michael says, do we not like the Mets, guys? Did either of you mention Mets?
Mets is a good mini stack, in my opinion. I'm not full stacking them, though.
Okay.
Agree. I don't have any full stacks. Dustin May, I think, is a talented pitcher, but there's like you can certainly play Pete Alonso in any matchup. They're just expensive, and it's like May is a talented pitcher.
Yeah, he doesn't give up that much fly balls either.
Gotcha. All right, Ice first base.
All right. Yeah, Crone and Coors is the top play here. I love Nathaniel Lowe as well. One of those power hitters. We're hunting some home runs against Lyles. Agree with Tellez and Mancini. A couple cheap guys I think you can look for some power. Ryan Noda is one of those Oakland bats that I mentioned. Wisniewski has just been brutal with the hard contact this season, so certainly don't mind him as a one-off. Christian Walker against Flaherty, mentioned Flaherty struggles as well. We just talked about Pete Alonso for the Mets. Freddie Freeman in a lefty-lefty matchup. Like, nobody's playing either of those two. They're expensive, but we know those guys can hit 2 home runs any night, so certainly fine with them.
Okay, very good. Take me to second.
Okay, so lots of cheap Pirates here. Rodolfo Castro would be my number one option. He is down in the 6 hole, but he has hit left-handed pitching historically well. It's a small sample, but like, he's in Coors Field. He's cheap. Certainly don't mind that. You can go even cheaper with Mark Mathias, who's also with Pittsburgh. Spending up a little bit, I really like Marcus Semien, another power bat against Jordan Lyles. Can always play Mookie Betts. Love the second base eligibility here. Bay for the Pirates, another Pirates second baseman. Ozzie Albies against a lefty is something I really like. He's far too cheap on FanDuel particularly. And then Nico Horner for the Cubs. Has a bunch of stolen bases this year. He's leading off against a lefty.
I'm also seeing a few of these tags over Vaughn Grissom.
Yes, I did not mean to leave him out. A guy I love. A talented rookie for the Braves.
Okay, very good. All right, Dre, second.
So, I know we mentioned Albies, Betts, Marcus Semien as well is a good guy to go with. Ketel Marte here. If you're going with your Arizona stacks going against Flaherty, I think he's a good one. I like if you're going with a mini Houston stack, I don't mind it. Marcio DeBon, I would use him in a mini Houston stack if you want, like a 3-man, definitely for sure. And if you do want to get on the other side of that with Christian Javier, a guy like Kevin Biggio is another good option at 2,400 that you can go with to the 8th man. In the 8th spot, they run, like I said, another mini stack on that Toronto side as well, along with the other guys that Keith mentioned, as far as like obviously, but McMahon, lefty. I think Nico Horner is another good option too as well. And if you want to go with Miguel Vargas for the Dodge part of your Dodger stack, I don't mind that as well.
Okay, very good. Take me to third base, Dre.
Third base. Okay, so obviously the top player in the third base is going to be Brian Hayes. Probably one of the few only Pittsburgh guys I think I could roster here stomach. So I think he's good. I do also like Austin Riley a good amount here. Especially coming in at lower ownership than majority of these other guys here, like Jan Junk, who's another good option here, and Montero for Colorado on the opposite side. They're both getting way more ownership than Austin Riley, and Austin Riley obviously is more expensive, but he probably might have he could possibly end up being the highest scoring player on the slate going against Weathers here in this spot. I don't mind a guy like Alex Bregman as far as a one-off. Manny Machado, obviously, going against Fried is a good option as a one-off as well. Nolan Arenado, too, if you're using him part of your St. Louis stacks, I don't mind him as well. Muncy, lefty, I know, but it's still, I think, a good. And Patrick Wisdom.
Okay, very good. Dre, I saw you nodding aggressively with, I believe it was Riley that I feel like you're overweight on.
Yes, Austin Riley is my favorite hitter on the entire slate, and it's like Dre alluded to it. Brian Hayes and Eleris Montero in Coors are soaking up so much ownership. Austin Riley is a guy that we love to play against lefties normally, but because we have these two cheap guys in Coors, we're showing Austin Riley at like 10% owned. He is an awesome play today. So yeah, I was nodding aggressively. With
Yeah,
that one.
yeah,
Play on the
that's
slate.
fine. Yeah. Where else are you spreading that out a little bit? I assume.
Yep. I think if you're looking for a price point pivot from Coors, Josh Young for Texas is a great call. Patrick Wisdom is far too cheap as a guy with big time power. Mueller is a guy that can be susceptible to hard contact. So ballpark's not scaring me away from them today. Max Muncy is lefty and extremely low owned, certainly like that. And then the rookie for the Mets who just got called up, he's down in the 8 hole, but Brett Beatty is a really talented hitter. Young guy, not trying to pick on May, but if you're looking for a pure minimum price point, Brett Beatty at third, I do like.
Very good. Ice, do you ever lock a guy in baseball? Like I know in NBA, you get a cheap guy that's going to play 35 minutes. You just lock him in 100%. Do you ever do that in baseball?
Not with a hitter. With a pitcher, I will. Like DeGrom, I just think he's underpriced. I think more than his massive ownership, he's going to be optimal today. So I just hit the lock. Like once I need to go 85% to get over the field, you might as well just lock him at that point. But with a hitter, never, ever in baseball. There's just way too much variance. Austin Riley could absolutely go 0-for-4 today, and nobody would be surprised.
Okay. Yeah, just curious. All right. Interesting. All right. Take me to shortstop, Ice.
Okay. So I mentioned Castro at second. He does have shortstop eligibility as well. Ezekiel Tovar is batting 9th for the Rockies, but like another good young prospect. Don't mind that he's batting 9th. I like him a lot. Mentioned Grissom at second. He has shortstop eligibility as well. All these guys are underpriced for their situation today. Josh Smith is a guy for another Texas guy. I certainly like him. Unfortunately, I think we had him projected to hit second. He got dropped down to 7th, so slight ding to him there. Still has a little bit of pop. Great matchup against Lyles. Still don't mind Josh Smith. And then Willie Adames is one of my favorites as well. Chris Flexen is very susceptible to righty power, and Adames has plenty of it.
Very good. Dre, your thoughts at short?
Sorry about that. All right, so shortstop, obviously Adames. Swanson, I think, is a good option here as well. We mentioned Vaughn Grisham going against Weathers is a good option. Xander Bogaerts, I think it's a good one-off against Freed, or if you want to use him part of the stack. Mini stack for San Diego. Don't go full stack with that. I like Pena, also a part of a mini Houston stack, and Bo Bichette too, if you want to run like a mini stack.
Okay, very good. You get the honor, good sir, of taking us into the outfield, where I imagine we got all the plays.
Yeah, hold on. Sorry, I just have to get my NBA lineup in real quick.
You're good. Quick question.
I just noticed Steve in the chat is dropping Beatty is going yard tonight, and he's spamming it from multiple accounts.
Yeah, I see.
Our producer is a huge Mets fan, if anyone didn't know.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the outfield. What do you got?
All right, so in the outfield, Ronald Acuna. I'm gonna give a couple of different tiers. So Ronald Acuna, the most expensive guy. I love him still. I'm at his even at the price point that he's at. I'll go down a little bit here. I like Yordan. I like Yordan Alvarez as a one-off. I think he's actually fantastic here too as well. Varsho going against Javier, I think is another good one-off option here. Corbin Carroll is good against Flaherty in my opinion. Definitely in a mini Arizona stack or a full Arizona stack. And I like Charlie Blackmon here as well. Let's go give you a low-owned guy. Mentioned Trey Mancini already. Josh Smith also is another good option. And Elijah White, who's going to be batting in a 9th hole against Atlanta. I think that could be sneaky, especially a part to wrap around with your Atlanta stacks because no one likes to use the back half of lineups.
Mm-hmm. Very good. All right. Ice, what are you doing in the outfield?
Yeah, multiple cheap guys in Coors, so they're certainly all fine. Profar, Connor Joe, the Pittsburgh guys. If you're spending up, certainly like Chris Bryant and Brian Reynolds in Coors Field. Love Ronald Acuna at the top of the Braves stack that we love so much. McCutchen in Coors as well. A couple more off the board. Like Charlie Blackmon is probably the lowest owned Rocky. He's lefty. But I certainly don't mind that to differentiate your Rocky stack a little bit. Jankowski is cheap in the 2-hole with the Texas stack that we like a lot. Trace Thompson, I love for the Dodgers, has just crushed left-handed pitching since he joined the team last year. Love the Corbin Carroll call. Marcelo Zuna, it's been a rough go for him, but there's historically some pop there against lefties. And then Mookie Betts, I mentioned at second. He's fine in the outfield too.
Very good. All right, that brings us to home run picks. I would like a home run pick from everyone. Ice, you cannot give me the Atlanta dude who we already know you're high on. But I'm going to start with you. Ice, give me a home run pick.
All right, I will go Nathaniel Lowe against Jordan Lyles.
Very good. Dre, give me your pick.
Dag. Oh, man. Hold on. Let me give you someone from Milwaukee then, real
All
quick.
right, go for it. Yeah.
Give me, since he's been playing really well lately, I'm going to go Rowdy Tellez.
Okay. Hammer says, Kevin, what is your call? And my call is Patty the Tooth Wisdom going yard.
I love that. I actually wrote that up as my sneaky home run call on the expert survey today.
Hey, very good. All right. I feel pretty good about that call now. Okay, before we get into everybody's QQs, we've got about 7 minutes or so until lock, I do believe. Make sure you're hitting. Oh, and they were Patty the Tooth and Tellez were both Spidey bombs. So we're all thinking here in the same vein. Real quick, hey, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button for us. It's free content. Big shout out to our sponsor, Fanduel, for making the show free. If you would like to keep it free, if you think like, wow, this is ridiculous. How is this free? It's because we're getting eyeballs for our sponsor. And to get more eyeballs, we need thumbs ups. So please do hit that like button so we can try to keep the show free as long as humanly possible. Quick question for you guys. What are we watching tonight? We got NHL playoffs. We got NBA playoffs. And we have baseball. I didn't mean to say that so low, but Ice, what are you watching?
It's a multiple screen night. You can do the quad box on MLB TV. So you got 4 baseball games going on. You got the NBA playoffs on for sure. I don't know if I'll get to the hockey yet. I do like. Yeah. I enjoy playoff hockey. It is a great time. It's very action packed and fun. But I usually wait till a little bit deeper into the playoffs to get involved.
Fair enough. Okay, very good. Dre, what about you? What are you watching tonight?
See, I'm a very, very kind of boring person. Oh man, I'm gonna go watch go to the movies date night. I'm gonna go watch the movie Air.
Oh, I want to see that.
Yeah,
the movie about Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go see that. Then after that, come back and watch some NBA playoffs to cap off the rest of the night.
I mean, sounds like a pretty good night, and I hope for you, my man, that you don't even get a chance to watch the NBA playoffs, if you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. I hope so too.
All right, very good. Let's get a few of these viewer QQs here. We've got about 5 minutes opening up the RG Discord. That's the spot where the party's at, so make sure you're hanging out. Scrolling up just a wee bit, and I will start with CLT, who says, everybody touting Wisniewski, but we think he'll somehow still be low owned in a DK GPP. Ice, is he going to still be low owned?
Yeah, he's going to be because everybody's playing DeGrom, and then it's not difficult to fit Corbin Burns, Corshine Javier, or Kevin Gausman with him. I think most people are paying up twice for pitcher.
Okay, fair enough. DK Cash, and I'm just going back and forth. So, Dre, you're going to have to handle cash questions as well here. DK Cash, low and or low / Profar or Kron Jankowski?
Kron Jankowski.
Or low Profar?
I'm going to go with the second. I'm going to go with the second one.
Okay, very good. FanDuel Cash, Ice, this one's for you. Esty Ruiz and Albies or O'Neill Contreras mini stack?
The second one. I wouldn't worry about a stack in cash, but still prefer the second one.
Very nice. DK Cash, Dre, back to you. Santana and Bryant or Cron and Joe?
I'm going to go second one.
Okay, very good. Okay, Amateur Hour says Ice. So single entry DK GPPs, 5 Colorado, 3 Dodgers, Vargas, Trace Taylor, with DeGrom and Burns. I mean, you want the whole damn lineup of versus.
Sounds like something like I have.
That's literally a 1v1 lineup versus lineup.
Yeah. Well, all right. So that versus 4 Colorado, 2 Pittsburgh, Arenado and Vargas with.
I'm not gonna build the lineup for him.
I'm sorry. Here's the question: does Vargas have pinch hit risk? How about that? There's just too much happening there, amateur hour.
I don't know it off the top of my head. He starts regularly against righties. I don't think there's all that much pinch hit risk. No.
All right, very good. Thanks. Fanduel, Dre, with weathers being so bad, do you mind having Keith Pilar in your Atlanta mini stacks if it makes everything else work?
Yep. I don't mind it at all.
Very good. Ice, do you agree with our ownership projection at first, with Cron being tied for third behind Lowe and Contreras?
Did he give a site?
Fanduel.
I think he probably comes in highest, but they'll all have significant ownership.
Okay, very good. DK Cash, Dre, Matthias Bryant, or Tovar Kutch?
Matthias Bryant, Tovar, Cutchinson, and Tovar.
Nope. It was. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that's it. That is an accurate answer. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
DK Cash, Joe and Lowe, or Crone and Jank? It is Lowe, right?
It is Lowe. Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you.
Second one.
Yeah. Fanduel Cash, Noda Reynolds, or Cron and Albies, Dre? Noda? Who the hell's Noda? That's a new one for me.
Yeah, power hitter. Young guy.
Okay. Noda Reynolds or Cron and Albies?
See, anything when it comes to like that, I'm gonna just have to side with Cron and Albies because I like Atlanta and I do like Colorado.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Chinatown says, I bet an amount equal to the equity of my house on the Pittsburgh Colorado under, because the first game of every Colorado series always goes under. Is this a thing?
I hope you win, and I heard that before.
These guys are, yeah.
I just hope that's within his bankroll.
Yeah. Don't actually, as we promote responsible gaming here.
I'm good with the under, but yes, let's bet responsibly.
Okay, are we legitimately? Is that a thing that the first game in Colorado? Is that a thing you've ever considered? Either of you?
I've heard it. Yes,
I've heard it too. I don't have like concrete confirmation that it's truly a thing, and there's so many variables. That's why it's hard to quantify. But it's definitely a narrative out there. Yes. Okay. Cleveland Picker says, "Hey, Weatherman, what's the ownership on DeGrom? I'm curious. I'm stacking the Royals bats tonight against him. The ownership is what it was 50% on FanDuel projected, though I think it's gonna. I'll take the over. And I'm gonna salute you for that Royals stack because it's not going off tonight. Yeah. Good luck. I mean, they could hit a couple home runs, like 2 solo shots, but like. The stack, not enough. The stack seems pretty crazy. All right, less than 1 minute here. If you could have one pick to guarantee a homer, we're not in the business of guarantees, but if you could, Reynolds or Crone? I'd go Crone for a homer for sure. Yeah, I agree. All right. Also, I misread Chinatown's question. He ended it with, "Am I stupid?" Which I just really feel bad for not adding that part to question, and that's my bad. No, you're not stupid. Other than the betting your house equity, that's kind of stupid. FanDuel Cash, Riley Jankowski, Ice, or Lowe and Suzuki? First one. DK Cash, Dre, do you have to play Brian Reynolds? You don't. I mean, he's going to be one of the more popular players, especially from Pittsburgh. So I feel like if you have, yeah, you do it in cash. Yeah. All right. That's fair. That's a good answer. Like in cash sometimes. Yes. Yeah, you just have to do it. Hey, we have hit the lock. Right? We hit the lock? Yep. 40 after. Very good. All right. We have hit the lock. Excellent stuff. Make sure to hit that thumbs up before you bounce out. We are going to watch some hoops. I've heard this show Beef is good. Someone mentioned it in the chat. Have you seen this? Netflix. I want to see it. It's on Netflix. I've heard good things. I'm going to try to watch some hoops, and then my wife is going to stare at me with like annoyed eyes until I give up, and I'm like, all right, we can watch a show. So I think I'm going to watch that. We're going to get on out of here. So for Ice, for Dre, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we do appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.